In a world where virality and metrics reign supreme, a young boy jumps into the trend, unaware of the complexities involved. Despite numerous attempts to gain followers and go viral, he finds himself hitting a dead end. Determined to crack the code, he takes ruthless steps which finally makes him famous, but not in the way you'd imagine. Hey guys, welcome back to I Am Movies. Today we'll be looking at the 2020 American horror movie titled Spree. But before we jump into the details, make sure to show us some love by liking the video and subscribing to the channel. Now, let's get right into it. Kurt doesn't fancy a normal quiet life because, according to him, if you aren't documenting your life, it means you don't exist. He runs an online social media platform called Kurt's World, where he shares details about his life, constantly live streaming and documenting every aspect of his existence. He shares stories of his parents' move from Los Angeles to Azusa, a low-cost living area, and recounts their rough divorce, which left his mother embittered and led him to choose to stay with her. Kurt documents moments with his dog and his father, Chris, who's a DJ. He loves video games and records himself while playing. To gain fans and followers, Kurt tries various strategies, venturing into creating soundtracks, sharing life hacks and product reviews, and even taking on babysitting jobs because kids offer all-time entertaining content. However, it still doesn't cut it for him. Kurt is still friends with one of the kids he used to babysit, Bobby, who's now a teenager. Bobby is also a live streamer, sharing his gaming experiences and personal life on social media. Additionally, Bobby does real-life tests and pranks to entertain his followers and has gained a considerable fan base. One day, in his desperation to gain attention, Kurt double-dips Bobby's live stream, which Bobby finds irritating and angrily dismisses him. Currently, Kurt works as a rideshare driver for Spree, documenting his daily rides and experiences. Despite his persistent efforts and varying strategies over the past decade, Kurt's attempts to gain a significant number of views or followers have proved futile, leaving him crushed. Frustrated by his lack of success, Kurt gives up on his pursuit of fame. However, he eventually returns after a while, sharing a video expressing an excitement that he has found an idea that could fascinate the audience and potentially make him go viral. He refers to his newfound strategy as the lesson, which he plans to display from the front seat of his Spree. As the first step in his strategy, Kurt goes live and reintroduces himself, encouraging viewers to follow him in anticipation of the lessons. He places bottled water in his car pouch and strategically installs cameras in his car. He announces that he'll be streaming all day. Seeing his mom, Kurt suddenly remembers something and rushes back to the house, returning later with a bracelet that he hangs around the rearview mirror. Kurt sets off on his journey in search of his first passenger, who turns out to be a guy named Frederick. During the ride, Frederick notices the cameras and feels uncomfortable. Kurt explains that they are for his safety, which Frederick understands. Frederick shares that he will be delivering a speech to an audience of 3,000 people, which Kurt admires. While conversing, Frederick reveals himself as a racist and tries to persuade Kurt to adopt his ideology, claiming the white race is superior. In response, Kurt firmly rejects his ideas and tells him to cease promoting such views. However, among Kurt's 3 followers, Bobby is the only active one. He promised to promote Kurt's streams on his channel when he does something stream-worthy. Bobby comments disappointedly on Kurt's livestream due to the racist discussion, and Kurt calms him down while trying to salvage the situation with Frederick. Afterward, Kurt decides to spice things up for his viewers by driving recklessly, causing Frederick's heart to flutter with fear and excitement. Kurt offers him water, to which he obliges. As soon as Frederick drinks the water, he starts coughing, and comments that it has a kind of taste, but Kurt disregards his suspicions, claiming that the water is pure. However, before setting out that day, Kurt had meticulously injected all the water bottles with a toxic substance. Soon, Frederick's cough becomes intense, and he starts gasping for air, kicking against the car and desperately trying to open the door to no avail, until he eventually succumbs to the poison. While Frederick struggled in the backseat, Kurt remained apathetic, with a disturbing grin across his face. After Frederick passes out, Kurt celebrates satisfactorily, signaling a victory. Bobby then comments on Kurt's livestream, referring to his content as fake and boring. Kurt responds that it's a win as people aren't supposed to tell if what you're doing is real or fake, which allows him to do more undetected. His next passenger is a woman named Andrea. She's engrossed on the phone while she places her stuff in the trunk. Getting into the car, she tells Kurt her destination and continues arguing with her husband over the phone. Innocently, she reaches for a water bottle and takes a sip. Shortly after, she passes out. Kurt packs his car and proceeds to the back seat. While gloating over his twisted escapades, his father calls asking for a ride. Kurt ends the call, claiming to be busy. He then unlocks Andrea's phone with her face and gives himself a 5-star rating. He notices a text from her husband apologizing to her, and Kurt responds to the message rudely. Next, he picks up a guy named Mario, who seems aloof and in a hurry. While driving, he plays an awful soundtrack and asks Mario if he likes it, sharing that he created the mix, but Mario completely ignores him. Soon after, they get caught up in traffic, leaving Mario frustrated as he needs to be somewhere urgently. He rhetorically expresses why there's traffic by noon, and Kurt tries to explain, but Mario shuts him up harshly. Later, another passenger's request appears on his Spree app, asking to join the ride. Kurt takes a different route to pick up the next passenger. This action leaves Mario even more frustrated, but Kurt calmly explains that he ordered Spree Social and shouldn't complain. He arrives at the spot and calls out to a lady named Jessie, who's already waiting for them. Kurt pulls up next to her, and as she makes to enter the vehicle, Mario hits on her, causing her to back away and change her mind. Kurt scolds Mario and asks him to behave himself. However, Mario urges Kurt to go after her and persuade her. Kurt goes after her and persuades her to join them, even offering to give her a free ride, and Jessie obliges. Upon entering the car, Mario tries to start up a conversation with Jessie, but she doesn't seem interested. Just then, Mario recognizes Jessie. She's a famous stand-up comedian. Mario mimics her signature flair to prove he knows her and then compliments her art, which doesn't flatter Jessie. He proceeds to make a video, but Jessie ruins it by making a racist comment. However, having learned about Jessie's fame and large following, Kurt asks how she grew her audience, and Jessie replies that she's funny. Kurt claims to also have lots of followers and asks that she follow him on his handle, and he would follow back. Mario proceeds to make another video, but Jessie tells him off furiously and asks Kurt to stop the vehicle. Kurt scolds Mario and threatens to drop him off on the highway if he doesn't stop bothering the young lady. Mario tells him he wouldn't dare and then turns to Jessie, telling her to smile more, which unnerves her, prompting her to record Mario and roast him for harassing her. Mario tells Jessie that being Insta-famous has gotten to her head, causing her to be rude to her fans. Kurt immediately pulls the car over and tells Mario to get out, but instead Jessie exits and grabs a bottle of water, despite Kurt's advice against it. As she leaves the vehicle, Mario makes a snide comment, prompting her to throw the water at him and walk away. Kurt and Mario continue their journey when Kurt takes a deserted road, claiming it's a shortcut. Afterward, Mario begins to feel nauseous and Kurt angrily warns him not to vomit in his car, but Mario insists he won't. Not wanting to risk it, Kurt pulls over and demands that Mario get out and relieve himself. Mario, who's pressed, seizes the opportunity to ease himself. While urinating behind the car, Kurt reverses with speed, hitting Mario, causing his body to propel upward and land on his car before slipping to the ground. Kurt runs over Mario's body and drives away, relishing in the sensation of another kill. Later that evening, Kurt looks up Jessie Adams and watches a series of her livestream and videos of her performing her stand-up comedy on stage. Just then, he remembers that it's dark, so he turns on his interior LEDs and continues watching Jessie's videos. He then learns that she has a show that night, and a popular comedy group called Joke Bros will be present, but unfortunately, he can't attend, as he believes he's about to be the next big thing. While filling up his tank, Bobby comments on his livestream, laughing and reminding him that he's the only one watching. Kurt defends his subpar content, claiming his viewers are taking a break. Bobby continues to roast him, as he hasn't even been able to get views up to double digits. As Kurt frustratingly defends himself on the livestream, he notices a police officer at the gas station, observing him suspiciously due to the bloodstain on his vehicle. He proceeds to wipe off the blood while reminding Bobby of his promise to share his content on his page, but Bobby tells him that the content is boring and evil. Kurt argues that his content is authentic, but Bobby advises him to create exciting and shocking content to spice things up. Otherwise, it won't work. Later, Kurt picks up 3 passengers and speeds down the boulevard, frightening them. But Kurt reassures them that he's got it under control. One of the girls, London, joins Kurt in the front seat and admires his adventurous spirit. Seeing their desire for adventure, he offers to take them to a secluded location for thrilling experiences, and they unanimously agree. Upon reaching the place, Kurt opens the roof and encourages the duo in the back seat to climb out of the sunroof and enjoy the moment. They excitedly poke their heads out and go live on Instagram, relishing the experience. Kurt tells them to post pictures with the hashtag #TheLesson. Meanwhile, London stays put in the front seat, admiring the scenery as Kurt shares a little history about growing up in the area. As they converse, Kurt suggests that London should stick her head out of the window to capture the view. Suddenly, he accelerates and breaks through a gate, leading them into a junkyard, and abruptly jolts the car. He closes the roof, trapping the duo. Suddenly, they're attacked by a pair of aggressive pit bulls. London quickly rolls up the window and retreats inside for safety. Amidst the chaos, Kurt reaches for his power drill and tragically kills London. While going through a car wash, Kurt excitedly calls Bobby and asks if he witnessed his most epic kill yet. Bobby casually replies that it doesn't matter as nobody saw it. He tells Kurt that some people are natural influencers while others are not. Kurt gets angry and wonders why he isn't going viral. As he leaves the car wash, he looks up Jessie Adams' content again but doesn't see anything extraordinary in her videos. Jessie goes live and Kurt joins in, criticizing her content out of jealousy. In her live stream, Jessie talks about her upcoming show, after which she films moments with her grandmother. With thousands of people watching her, Kurt gets jealous and murmurs that she's getting so much attention, without even doing much while he's busting his ass to gain followers. Yet no one is looking his way, which isn't fair. Later, Jessie is in her room deliberating over the dress to wear for her show, and seeking her fans' opinions when she hears a knock on the door and wonders who it could be at that hour. Jessie opens the door to find her colleague Miles there, who has voluntarily come to pick her up for her show. At the same time, Kurt also goes live on his account and pays Bobby a surprise visit. Bobby answers the door and is surprised to find Kurt standing there. Kurt tells Bobby they need to talk, which doesn't sit well with Bobby. He asks Kurt to leave as he doesn't want to be part of his evil schemes. However, Kurt insists that they're collaborators, but Bobby outright denies him. When Kurt refuses to leave, Bobby goes live and proceeds to publicly humiliate Kurt, revealing that he used to babysit him and is now acting entitled, with an unhealthy obsession to become famous, willing to do anything for attention. Kurt tells him he came to share his plans to hijack Jesse's show, but Bobby mocks him for his typical retarded approach. Kurt then takes out a knife and stabs Bobby. Bobby takes out his gun to defend himself, but a struggle ensues, and Kurt overpowers him, shooting him dead while streaming the entire incident. Comments on the video start to appear with mixed opinions. Some believe it's real, while others find it entertaining, and some see it as a prank. Later, Kurt washes off Bobby's blood in his shower and streams it live. He notices he has over 100 views and follows, which leaves him excited and feeling triumphant. After showering, he proudly announces that he has taken over Bobby's account and redirects Bobby's feed to his channel, with approximately 4,000 people watching him. While streaming from Bobby's house, Kurt receives a text from his father asking him to pick him up for a visit to the club to meet with a renowned influencer named DJ Uno. Kurt feels annoyed by his father's messages and shares his frustration with the audience. He's surprised to learn that they know about DJ Uno and admire her, so they urge him to go. Kurt picks up his father and behaves rudely towards him. He insists he'll pay for the ride, leading to an argument between them. Eventually, they both let it go. Unexpectedly, Kurt's father discovers a gun in the glove compartment and questions why Kurt carries a gun around. Kurt explains that it's for his protection, given the nature of his job, which may expose him to dangerous individuals. Soon after, they arrive at the club, only for Kurt to realize it's a strip club instead of a dance club. They meet Uno, and his father introduces him to her. Kurt asks Uno to tag him in her story, revealing that he's live streaming and his followers admire her. Uno asks for his username, but he never receives a notification. Feeling bored, Kurt leaves and sits in his car conversing with his audience, but suddenly, Uno approaches him and asks for a ride to a taco truck, promising to tag him on her page. They go to the location and Kurt takes pictures of her at the taco truck. Later, she asks Kurt to help her get some tacos. While Kurt waits in line, he strikes up a conversation with a lady while streaming. Meanwhile, Uno innocently explores the vehicle. She climbs into the front seat and is surprised to discover Kurt's gun. She takes a selfie with it, and afterward grabs a bottle of water. Meanwhile, as Kurt collects the food and returns to the car, he finds Uno unconscious. He starts eating the tacos and takes over Uno's live stream. Just then, 2 police officers approach his car and begin questioning him. Kurt claims Uno is his girlfriend and has had too much to drink, causing her to pass out. After presenting his papers, he's asked to step out for a sobriety test. While at it, Uno suddenly wakes up and in panic shoots one of the officers in the head and flees. Kurt quickly enters his vehicle and speeds off, with the police chasing after him. Kurt drives against the flow of traffic on the highway and live streams the entire event. His excitement grows as he notices approximately 30,000 people watching him, all while recklessly driving through busy roads, causing confusion. After a prolonged chase, Kurt manages to elude the police and exit the highway. While boasting about his crazy stunts on the live feed, he hits an object, resulting in his car flipping over and crashing violently. Meanwhile, at Jesse's show, Miles struggles to elicit laughter from the audience with jokes that fall completely flat. He proceeds to invite Jesse onto the stage, causing a surge of excitement among the audience. She further heightens their enthusiasm with her signature flair. Suddenly, Kurt reappears on his live broadcast, and the viewers express their surprise and relief that he survived the car crash, while Jesse is being live streamed on social media by various people, including Kurt, who's at the show with his gun. While Jessie is talking, she recounts her experience with a driver earlier that day, which is Kurt, sharing how Kurt's begging to be followed reminded her of who she used to be, and it made her cringe. She also mentions that everyone is addicted to social media attention, despite being judged and hated. During her uncontrolled outburst, Kurt becomes irritated by her teasing and mockery, and almost feels like shooting her, but he can't muster the courage to do so in such a crowd. Following her outburst, Jessie declares her retirement from social media by smashing her phone, followed by mixed reactions from her audience. Despite being motivated by his viewers to go for the kill, Kurt decides against shooting Jessie and hurriedly exits the show. He orders a ride, and the driver happens to be an elderly man who also has a camera installed in his car for safety reasons. Kurt strikes up a conversation with the elderly man, and later hijacks his car. He returns to the club where Jessie held her show. Back at the club, Miles offers to drive her home, but Jessie declines, saying he's too drunk to drive, and asks him to order them a spree. However, he realizes that Spree is down, so he orders a go-go, hoping he'll go home with her. When the car arrives, Jessie ditches Miles and gives him the middle finger, unaware that Kurt had picked her up. While driving, she tries to doze off, but Kurt calls her attention, revealing that he admires what she did earlier. Not knowing he's being sarcastic, she thanks him. He then informs her that he's glad she didn't drink the water earlier, but Jessie struggles to recall what he's talking about. Kurt jogs her memory and she then remembers him and starts feeling uneasy. When Kurt takes a wrong turn, she asks him to stop the car, but he disregards her request and keeps driving while chatting away. She becomes increasingly agitated when Kurt mentions taking her to his residence. In a moment of panic, she attempts to strangle Kurt with a phone cord. Kurt manages to halt the car and fight her off. During the struggle, Kurt strikes her, knocking her unconscious. He drags her out to the front of the car, leaving her on the ground. Kurt then conducts a poll on his page, asking his viewers whether they want him to fuck, marry, or kill Jessie, and the majority goes for the kill. At that moment, Kurt's viewership had skyrocketed to about 50,000, fulfilling his long-held dream. Gratefully, he acknowledges their support and viewership. Afterwards, Kurt drives towards her, intending to run her over only to find that Jessie has vanished. Kurt foolishly exits the car to search for her, but she reappears from the other side and enters the car. She then propels forward, aiming to hit him, and Kurt runs towards his house while Jessie chases after him, crashing through the walls into their living room. Kurt reappears and starts strangling her, but she manages to stab him in the eyes, prompting him to scurry off in pain. Ruffled and terrified, Jessie exits the car. She scans her surroundings, picks up Kurt's phone, and is disgusted to find that there are people watching. She screams at them, asking that they call the police. Just then, Kurt's intoxicated and drug-induced father enters the scene, and laments in disbelief at the commotion. Jessie retreats and accidentally stumbles over the lifeless body of Kurt's mom. Kurt's father thinks Jessie killed her and starts wailing. In a panic, Jessie seizes the needle in Chris's hand and stabs him with it. Meanwhile, Kurt reappears with his gun and shoots his father. It turns out that earlier that day, when Kurt returned to the house after setting up his cameras, he killed his mom and took her bracelet. In the present, Jessie sneaks back into the car and reverses it to flee, but realizes it's trapped. Kurt points the gun at her, but fortunately for her, he's out of bullet. She accelerates forward, knocks Kurt over, and crushes him against the wall. Meanwhile, the audience becomes increasingly excited, with some believing it's a scam while others urge Jessie to check if he's still alive. She exits the vehicle, approaches him cautiously, and delivers a final blow to finish him off. At the viewer's request, Jessie takes a selfie with Kurt, which she posts on her social media afterward, making her the next internet sensation, alongside Kurt and his unsettling exploits. Stories of Kurt's ruthless acts make headlines and spread across the internet, sparking widespread interest in his history and videos. And Kurt's lifelong dream of going viral is finally fulfilled. And this is where our story ends. If you'd like to see us recap any other movies or topics you have in mind, just drop a comment and let us know. And don't forget to hit the like button, share this recap, and subscribe to stay updated for the next one. Until next time.